Hello, everybody. Welcome to Luncheon with Lisa. I want to welcome my guests, but before we do that, I wanted to remind everybody, it's Thursday, and Luncheon with Lisa comes on every Thursday, 7 to 8, and we stream live on Facebook and YouTube. So remind everybody to tune into us because y'all don't want to miss this show. I'm going to connect it a little bit to last week because last week we actually had some men come on because I always say that we usually have women come on. And we'll have men here and there, but it's rare that we have a whole panel and show that's full of men. And we had a great conversation. And it was just really about what they're doing in the community, how they're feeling about the pandemic. We had education, someone in education, someone in business, someone in music. We had some great guests, and I decided that I wanted to keep that ball rolling. Because the men are showing up, and last week's show was about Our Men Matter. So that's not the title of this show, but we're going to continue with that theme and letting you all know Our Men Matter, and they're doing wonderful things. And we're adding a little caveat to it because this group is actually doing things for our young men. So they definitely need some exposure because we don't see a lot of that. So I wanted to first say hello to everybody. Welcome to another Thursday. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, so maybe we can chop that up a little bit, take a break from the TV and tune in and get some real information on what's going on in the community. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to introduce my guests. And then we're going to get into some conversation. I'm going to let them explain what the 13th Man is all about, how they got involved, and how other people can get involved. So first, I'm going to introduce the founder. We have Everett Devon Kelly, who's a native of the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area. He's a CEO and president of Novad. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, Novad.
Mm-hmm. Novad Management Consulting, LLC. Mr. Kelly uses his expertise in business and project management to assist clients in assessing opportunities, refining capabilities, and capitalizing on resources to achieve greater success. Mr. Kelly has gained a reputation as a skillful listener and a firm but tactful communicator who gets to the heart of the problems through incisive and thorough analysis. When Mr. Kelly founded Novad in 2003, he was determined that his consulting firm would not focus on quick fixes, short-term answers, and one-off solutions, but instead he cultivates long-term relationships based on ongoing dialogue, mutual trust, and integrity. Now, in 2012, Mr. Kelly became a board member of NFTE Youth Entrepreneur Program, as well as a board member for Boys Town of Washington, D.C. since July 2010. Mr. Kelly was a supporter of the 2011 Black Enterprise Youth Entrepreneur Camp at Morehouse College, Leadership for New Generations Build, and Leadership Prince George's County. Devon Kelly has a BS degree in finance from Florida Tech and a master's degree in business administration from Bowie State University. I wanted to put that in there because I have quite a few friends who have children that graduated from Bowie, so I'm sure they wanted to hear that. So I'm trying to show a little love outside of where I went to school. So.
Worries.
So next I want to introduce Mr. Dr. Bruce Bradford because I got chewed up on Facebook. No, just kidding. So Dr. Bradford is a native Washingtonian and a graduate of Cardozo Senior High School, but we forgive you for that, okay? After his high school graduation, he attended Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee on a swimming scholarship where he earned his Bachelor's of Science in Health and Physical Education and a Master of Arts degree in Education. Upon his graduation from TSU, he returned to his home of Washington, D.C. to begin his professional career as a teacher, coach, mentor, parent, and role model. Coached varsity football, tennis, and swimming for 33 years in DC public schools, where his teams won many, I'm going to add a few, many championships and awards. However, Coach Bradford is mostly proud of the successful lives that his athletes are living today after participating in team sports. And after his retirement from DC public schools, Bradford continued his educational pursuits and earned his doctorate in education from Bernelli University in Cecil, Pennsylvania. So welcome.
Thank you.
I'm also going to introduce Fred Lott, who is from Riverdale, Maryland. He is a proud graduate of Hampton University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in marketing. He is also an alumni of Southeastern University, where he obtained a master's degree in public health and business administration. Although he got his spiritual foundation while attending Cornerstone Baptist Church in Temple Hills, Maryland, under Reverend Harold King, he's proud to have been a member of the unique bunch of believers at Cornerstone Peaceful Baptist Church in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, under the direction of Pastors Daniel and Sabrina Magrum for 10 years. It was at this Cornerstone that he was licensed as a gospel minister in 2003 and received a foundation in ministry of deliverance and the power of purity and prayer. So I wanted to share a little bit more about Fred Lott. Whether young or old, Pastor Fred has a passion for seeing the men of God on fire for the Lord. His dedication to the men has taken the form of mentoring young men, conducting the Upper Room Brothers Bible studies with his longtime friend Troy Carpenter, preaching at men's retreats, and raising his own young man Joshua. It has been said about Pastor Fred that men can appreciate his transparency and gifts of encouragement with which he's been blessed. He's often said, when we get the men of God fired up and sold out for Jesus, the rest of the family will follow. Welcome. And we also have Kevin Weidman, a CEO of, and I might not pronounce this properly, so please correct me, but Cognac.
You're close.
I was close.
Very close.
Cognac Government Services. Kevin Weidman oversees a portfolio of companies, including Cognac Information Security Services, Inc., Cognac Services, Inc., Cognac Technology Services, Inc., and Cognac Management Solutions, LLC. I wanted to share with you that Mr. Weidman holds a Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering from Temple University, class of 1985. Mr. Weidman has passionately supported multiple charity events and causes throughout his lifetime. But I wanted to add this caveat too, that as a former college athlete, Mr. Weidman still enjoys playing basketball and is an avid golfer. And I thought that would be a great add-in, considering that we're getting ready to introduce the 13th man. And I'm going to make sure that Devon shares how that is kind of connected, the basketball kind of thing, like where it all came from. So welcome, gentlemen, to Luncheon with Lisa. I'm happy to have you on. And now we want to find out, what is the 13th man?
So the 13th man, as we've said before, is not a place where young men come because they're at risk, right? So one of the things that we fought is that when you talk about 12 to 17-year-old predominantly African-American men, you immediately go to they're at risk. We are talking about our young leaders of tomorrow. The mission of the 13th man is to elevate the lives of these men through personal development, leadership engagements, and just being around overall good men of color, like the ones you have on your panel. We started out in 2014. I came up with an idea because there were people in my lives who shared with me on the right path on where I should go. They came in the forms of my dad, college coaches, college teammates, high school coaches, boys club coaches. And I thought that there are a lot of young men who need the same kind of leadership. Oftentimes, when you play sports, you get to travel around, you get to see the world, see the states, and do things that some really young men aren't able to do. However, there was always one or two guys who didn't make that team, who didn't have the ability to make a AAU traveling team and everything. And I thought, what about that guy? What do we do for that guy? And so then I came up with an idea. Let's do something for that guy. So not only are we trying to help the young men become the young game changers of their communities, but also leaders of tomorrow. And in the same process, as you know, everyone on this panel and our mentors are athletic based, and see if we can help them maybe make that team. So the experience of being in the 13th man is really to help the young men experience something they otherwise wouldn't without being there. It has been a personal journey for me for the last 6 years. I couldn't do it without the help of these men on the panel today. We've grown from an idea of 30 young men, I think, in our first summer classic, to now we're over 100 young boys that we service here in the Prince George's County area. We've got over 50 young men in the Charlotte area. And we try to treat each one of them as if this is our mission, to make you a better person. And if you start there, our goal is to start there. If you become a better person, things tend to fall in place later on in life, and usually it has an immediate impact. And that's really sort of the basis of what we do here at 13th Man.
Okay. Yes, I love the connection with the 13th man, and I love what you're doing and bringing our young men. And there's not a lot of programs out here, in my opinion, unless I just haven't heard of them, that really focus on our young men. And I like the touch that it's not necessarily about at-risk children, that there should be programs out here for just children that we want to lead, on to do great things. And they don't have to be at risk before we're reaching out to help them. I wanted to share with some of your board members, because everyone else is a board member with 13th Man. So Fred, let's start with Fred. What attracted you, or how did you get involved with the 13th Man?
Oh, thank you, Lisa. The guy who just spoke is a good friend of mine. I've known that man for over 33 years. And I remember when he was brought to me, the 13th Man, he said, "Big fella, I need you to be a part of this." And I said, what is it about? And he told me all about it, Lisa. And Lisa, you read my bio. My bio is a passion for young men, and just men, period. And I said, Mr. Kelly / Devon, whatever you need, I'm gonna be there for you. And Lisa, over the last 6 years, I thought it was going to be something that we were going to bless. I was going to basically bless the young men. But Lisa, 13th Man has basically changed my life. Like literally, basically, those young boys have taught me more about myself than I ever thought I could know. Their pain, their passion, everything. And I realized, Lisa, I was missing something. Literally, before the 13th Man, don't worry, I got a beautiful family, got kids, got a church and all that. But 13th Man has changed my life. And just like being on this ride with Mr. Kelly and those two other brothers you see, and the other 100 kids and 50 kids here in Charlotte, it's been a blessing beyond a blessing, Lisa. I think after a while, you can live for a while and you just, okay, I'm doing well, different things. But until you start giving back, touching, my sister runs track, until you start passing that baton. And I believe Mr. Kelly, what he's done this. A lot of times, most people, they get where he is and they just keep running. But Mr. Kelly said, listen, I want to pass the baton. A lot of entrepreneurs drop it on different things. Mr. Kelly picked it up. He put it in my hand. I'm putting it in another man's hand. So Lisa, 13th Man has been life changed. And so whatever, me and Devon go way back. I was going to do anything for him anyway. But this, I told him, I said, it's just not about 13th Man. This has changed my life, just giving back. And the young men, I can't even describe, Lisa. Those young boys, I'm not going to cry. I'll start crying thinking about them. But it's really just earth-shattering, like what some of the young men have been through, but they still have beautiful smiles on their face. And it makes you realize that all that they've been through, and they can smile, come on now. So I think for me, each time I'm around the boys, around those great men like Kevin and Dr. Bradford, and Devon has he put a great team together. And with that team, we're just trying to just encourage these boys, lift them up, and it's the next generation. So, we have a lot going on in the world, but a lot of people don't know, because of Mr. Kelly, we know what's coming behind us, and what's coming behind us is greatness. It's not going to be on the news, different things, but we have some great things coming, and I've seen it at the meetings with the boys. So, Lisa, I could talk forever about the 13th Man, but the man you're talking to from Adams Morgan / Riverdale, this has changed my life forever. And I think I've always loved Mr. Kelly, but this has been a blessing beyond blessings. And like I said, he put a great team around him.
Absolutely. I mean, it just sounds like that it's double, triple, quadruple blessings. And it's good to belong to something where you know you're pouring into young people, because they are coming right behind you. And I will just say, it's just wonderful to see men pouring back into young men, children, whatever. So this is blessing me, just this whole conversation so far. Let me move over.
I'm sorry, Lisa, I will say this. I will add this because you said you men. Mr. Kelly said we have some great young men. And I think it's a good story because some of these young men don't have that father figure. And so when you look at Dr. Bradford, you look at Mr. Kevin, you look at Mr. Devon Kelly. I mean, literally, like, you become that father figure, and you're maybe the first person in their life, Lisa, when we look these boys in their eyes and say in a godly and a manly way, I love you. You are beautiful. Right. You don't have to do no more. You're fine the way you are. Like, they're waiting on that, like, / father's blessing, that approval. And when you can do that, and those boys come in on, Mr. Kelly knows, on a Thursday when he have the some of the classics, and they leave on that Saturday or Sunday, Lisa, they're swag. They're looking at you in the eyes. I mean, it's life changing. So for the people watching, this is just not like a regular organization. This thing is off the hook, and it's a whole nother level, to be honest. I could talk about it, but you got to see it. You got to see it.
I love it. So, Kevin, tell us how you got involved with the 13th Man.
You know, similar to Pastor Fred, you know, Devon's a personal friend of mine. And I remember when President Barack Obama was in office, he constantly challenged us to serve. And it got to me because as we sit in the comforts of our own world and our own lives, that sometimes we forget that we should be serving and doing more. And just watching Devon do as much as he was doing, it challenged me. I say, no, I should be doing more. As much as I was doing, it challenged me to do more. And Devon is such a great leader. He was going to do this. He had that vision. He was going to do it regardless. Mm-hmm. And all that was your partner. You don't have to do this by yourself. Right. So let me jump in and help you. I need an outlet to serve, to do more. So let me jump in and serve with you and do more. And as Pastor Fred said, is a blessing to help, to help young men. Being raised by a single mom, growing up, I would have been a candidate for the 13th Man, program. Even though I was on the team as the athlete that I am, but I still needed the mentorship and the guidance of a strong male figure in my life. So Devon knows I will always do any and everything I could possibly do to help the 13th Man.
I love it. Because it's not just about them too. It's showing brotherhood on a level that we don't see all the time. I mean, we hear about it, but this is where not just you all get to do this brotherhood, but young people get to witness brotherhood and see how it works and how it moves. So Mr. Dr. Bradford, I won't use Dad because we live, but Dr. Bradford, tell us how you got involved. This sounds like a perfect fit, from knowing what I know with you. So how did you get involved with this?
Well, everyone has stole all of my thunder, so I'll just get to the point. First of all, I was going to ask you to address me the way you normally do, would say,
okay.
And that really means a lot to me because, I don't have one of these sad stories, but I had a father for 11 years in my life. But I always talk about, and I see Pastor Fred here, I am a teacher, not by choice. It's the way that I was designed to be, and it's something that I love to do. And I ask people my age, older and younger, if you had to have had a career such as I've had, I'm blessed to have said I taught 46 years, and I've been retired for 4 years. So, I'm the grandfather of this team right here. So I hope the membership has its privileges, and I think that they look at me, but I am excited that Devon Kelly, who I've known since he was a little bitty boy, his mom and dad and I were personal friends. And it's just like it's a magnetism. And I think and believe wholeheartedly in God. And I think he directs our path. My path was directed to him. He was directed to me. We don't have a choice in life. I ask people, if you had to start all over again and have another career, what would you choose? I tell them every time I would be a teacher, a coach, a mentor. I don't want to be a rich, filthy rich doctor. And people get concerned about Dr. Bradford and things like that. That doesn't give me status. I think my God will call me Bruce. You will call me Dad because that's the way I've been with you all along. So I have fallen on the shoulders of more people in my life that have taken the role of a father, a mentor, a coach, a director, a role model. And I was envious of that. I feel like I appreciated it so much that I wanted to do that. I don't want to be a picture or a memory or an obituary program sitting in somebody's closet. I want to have made the difference in someone's life. And that's what I've had. I tell people that God provides my every need. But I always throw this little caveat in. It is the one thing that God denied me, and he denied me to ever be an orphan. I've never felt like an orphan. I've had big brothers, little brothers, and middle-aged brothers and sisters as well who have directed my path. And when I look at people like you and see a former student who is an adult, a mother, and a leader, and a person with passion, if you can see in here, each one of us, when we talk, it comes from our cardiac. It doesn't come from our mouth. You hear it out of our mouth, but it's our heart speaking. And when Mr. Kelly calls me and asks me, can I do this or do that? Before I don't know why he says, can you or will you? He should just tell me, report here and there at this time and do this. Because the answer is automatically yes. So I'm not going to take up everyone's time. I know you say the oldest for the last, and to give that Perry Mason type summation. So I'm going to sit back, chill, like I know what the word is, and chime in when necessary. But, it's God's speed that we do most what we do best. And what we do best is because the scripture says, lay not up treasures on this side of the earth. We don't do it for accolades. When we have the opportunity to reveal to other people that there is an opportunity, because some people do not know, and we humbly thank you for this exposure, because we hope that someone, at least one person, will call and say, how do I become a part of 13th Man? And we're going to say, welcome.
Yep. Yes, and that's part of why I do what I do, is to share the shine and extend that olive branch, and hopefully just be a step on everyone's step up to wherever they're headed. I mean, that's why I'm here. So knowing what you all do just makes me smile, because I can tell that these boys, these young men, are blessed. That you are even a small part of their lives, even if it was just 1 year they were here or they stayed a long time. So tell me a little bit about what age group you are most of your students, or is it open to all ages? What the age group is?
So the age group is supposed to be 12 to 17, right? So it's supposed to be 12 to 17, but as these gentlemen know, we've allowed as early as 10-year-olds. 10 turning 11-year-olds. And, one of the passions I have, if a young man comes to me and says, hey, Mr. Kelly, I'd like to be a part of your program. We've had some younger brothers and they're looking forward to the Summer Classic. I just don't say no. I said, okay, here we go. And, it's a tough road for them, particularly at the Summer Classic, for what we put them through on the leadership thing. However, one of the things that we do is at some point you have to become responsible. Right. And so we teach about responsibility. We teach about waking up in the morning, having to make the decision to go to bed early, and getting up in the morning. We make the decision of sitting in a room where you have to listen and engage and learn more information about it. Those are things that you can start off at 10. You don't have to wait till you're 30. You don't have to wait till you're out of college. So if you can get them started on the right track early, right, that pathway becomes even easier. And I think a lot of times, as young men, we're not taught that, right? And then we get into a boardroom and we're sitting there going, okay, what is this about? Or we don't know how to make sure that we focus, what kind of notes we're taking. And I think it's important for us to get the young men in. And we're not that group that's going to make you sit in the lecture hall the entire time. We do some fun activities, but you have to prioritize, right? And the young men have gone in. Last year was our first group of the first, I guess, 8th and 9th graders that went through the program for 4 to 5 years. Now they're becoming freshmen in college. Fred's son is one of them. He's now a sophomore in college, right? So he started from the very first year. And so I've watched these young men grow up, right? I've watched them how they do interviews for college now. I've watched them now that they've come back. And when you know the program is doing a great job, all of the young men who now have aged out, if you will, have all called back and said, hey, Mr. Kelly, can I be chaperone? I want to be a part of the 13th man. So last year was the first year we had a group, I think about 8 people who had come through the program. They became the chaperones. So now Fred and I and Kevin and Dr. Bradford, now we just sit back and allow them to go chase them around and said, hey, wake up in the community thing. So it's been fun that way as well to watch them grow.
Well, I love the fact that, I never even thought about it. You broke it down to even knowing how to get up in the morning, because I have a college. Well, he's a senior this year, and that was one of my struggles with him. Getting up, you need to get up. You gotta go. You gotta get out of here. But I am sure that should be one thing that moms and dads are like, okay, we need to call them up and get you involved, because you need to because I guess we don't teach our kids how important it is to start to manage your time at a young age. We let them sleep in. But back in the day, I will share this, when, back in the day, we got up early, and we weren't going anywhere doing anything, but it was kind of like we were prepared. I always told my kids, I said, look, we got up in the morning because if, our parents went somewhere and we wanted to go, they were going to wait on us to get dressed and get ready. So we needed to be up and ready just in case something happened. And we were ready to go, because when my mother was saying I'm gone, it was like you hopping in the car with me. It's not like, wait a minute. So I like the fact that that's even that far down. You all are trying to, teach them. What other kind of, because you mentioned something about a leadership program. So, and everyone can chime in, and what kind of leadership skills are you teaching these young men in addition to what you shared? Because that's some powerful stuff right there.
Yeah. So let me, and I'll let the other 3 gentlemen jump in. I'm just going to tell you about our actual signature event, and it's called the Summer Classic. It's a 4-day event, Thursday through Sunday, and we have over 100 young men come, and they start off on Thursday. They check in. And then from Thursday through Sunday, we actually have leadership speakers. We have designed leadership class team building activities. We have, as goes far as sitting at a table and having dinner, learning how to eat dinner without a phone in your hands, having conversation there, learning about topics. As I mentioned earlier, we start that day off at 6:30 in the morning. The young men get up at 6:30 in the morning. We have a half-hour, 45-minute boot camp. Then they come back in, they eat breakfast, they shower, and then they don't go to sleep again until probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock that night. And we do that straight for 4 days. So it's a long 4 days. And leadership is not always about learning the words that someone put on the table. Leadership sometimes is about leading your roommate to get up and go. Who's going to take control of that group that's at that table? Who's going to say, hey, look, guys, I'm trying to listen here. How about we settle down for a little bit, right? And that's why I said about a 10, 11-year-old becomes tough. But we instill it, and we make sure that they learn from their mistakes, right? So we try not to. So as Kevin said earlier, when you start on Thursday, and when you drop them off on Thursday, I always promise that when you see your young man or son come back on Sunday, you're going to see a different guy. You're just going to see a different guy, and that's what's important. So I'll let Pastor Fred go through the round some of the leadership things that they see in the Summer Classic. And I will mention that one of the things that we do for the programs, every program of the 13th Man is completely free. So if your young man signs up for our program, meaning all you go onto our website and sign up for our program, you are now a 13th Man member. That 13th Man member allows you to participate in any activity that we have. That goes from tutorials, that goes to the Summer Classic, that goes to field trips, guide talk, anything. I never wanted a young man to be deprived of the opportunity to be a game changer or leader of tomorrow because of something they can't control. And wow. I think a lot of people get shortchanged because of that. So God willing, and the fact that I have people like these people around me to help me, if I'm able to do it, there will never be a young man who has to pay to participate or pay to be a game changer. So I'll let Pastor Fred and Kevin and Dr. Bradford talk a little bit more about some of the leadership components that they see. So Pastor Fred, if you want to.
Look, I'm hoping that and you all being here tonight will be a further step in that direction, because I think that is amazing. And I do think that that's what holds people back sometimes, or even people who have programs that want to get to that level and just need some exposure, some help. some people who are on board to help. And I'm hoping that I can expose you to. I am part of a mentoring group. It's young ladies, but I'm part of a mentoring group. And the reason why I know this is so important, because the feeling I get from just being able to do something as simple as go to an event with them, have a conversation with them. And when you mentioned something about when they graduate kind of out of the program, it's got to be a huge, it put a huge smile on your face when they leave and they want to come back. That says a lot. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to circle back around the opposite way. So, Dad,
Yes,
I'm like, what do I say? What do I say? But
say what you say.
You have this has been your life, your life's journey. And I've watched you in a room full of grown men, and afterwards they're like, how do I stay in touch with him? Because he just blessed me so much with just real talk conversation. So I know this has just got to be your lane. So what kind of things do you like about it, and what do you do within the program, and what do you feel like you offer, and what are you getting out of it? Let me know a little bit about that.
You know, I get more than I could imagine I could explain in the times of words and the time that we have. But Mr. Kelly has asked me on several occasions to be a clinician at the leadership thing. I've been a speaker 2 times at the culmination, and each time it's a thrilling experience, because I know that we, not me, for third person plural, not first person singular, it's not about I. We have done something to change a person's life, to give them a roadmap. I didn't grow up with GPS. That's something new to me. But we're the GPS for children in the lives in which they can see things. When Devon started off and tell us we're not looking at-risk children and like a reform program, we're doing a preventive measurement. You know, you train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it, right? That's Proverbs 22:6. We bring that spirit into the lives of children, especially those of us who know how to teach what not to do and the consequences there are. Because see, when people get in a situation where there's a consequence and they are adjudicated by a judge, it's a bit late in many instances. They don't have a compassionate person like a Fred or Kevin or Devon or Bruce, then they're in trouble. And we want to prevent people from being in trouble. You know, what's the shirt now? Good trouble. We've been doing that for many years. And I want to put a plug in that I have my first grandson is a senior at Bowie State. We give him Bowie a lot of play, but he was in this program as well. And he learned from this. He learned because Mr. Kelly told him about getting a bank account, and now he has a sizable bank account, but he learned this. So these are the children that I want to take care of me. When I get in a nursing home, I don't want somebody that went to school with me the same age that has Alzheimer's like I do, and I'm walking around here talking about, well, I'm gonna give you an aspirin and you call me in the morning. No, you better come up with something new and something inviting for me to believe in. I'm gonna pass the baton and put the pressure on Kevin because he didn't laugh at my joke. So I'm gonna put him on him.
Look, he said he wants somebody that's gonna keep him alive. Okay, so that's right. I know that. So Kevin, because he put you on the spot right there, because you weren't laughing, but I know you thought. Oh, you on mute?
You're on mute, Kev.
I said my heart was smiling.
Okay, there you go.
I can't hear your heart, man. I need a stethoscope for that, okay?
Right. So share a little bit, Kevin, about what you've gotten since what you've received from being in the program, and what you even what you want to bring to the table when you going forward in the program.
So, one of the things that because I've been blessed, right? I come from humble beginnings, but I've been blessed along my journey as well. So one thing you always want to do is share your blessings. Devon mentioned that none of the kids paid for anything to participate in this program. But one of the things that Devon did not say, and he would not say, is in the beginning, a lot of this, he was funding a lot of this, it was coming out of his pocket. And so that's what we talked about, different, fundraisers and raising money, because as the program grows, he's doing well, but he's not doing that well where he can start plastic out when it gets up to around 200 people. So actually helping him, in the fundraising aspect of it, from the signature golf tournament, is you get a lot in return. From a leadership perspective, I lead an organization of over 1,200 employees. So the last Summer Classic, Devon asked me to speak at the closing banquet about the elements of leadership. But one of the most important points that I think goes unnoticed with these kids is the circle of people that Devon has around him, right? And so we talk all our kids, surround yourself with like-minded, with positive people, such that your positive circle will move in a positive direction. Devon always tells the kids, this is my circle of trust. If they're not in my circle of trust, I'm not going to bring them around you. And so I like to see the kids see the types of people that Devon has circled himself with, such that they'll replicate that and do the same. And if they have someone that's in their circle that they're hanging with, they'll realize, you know what? This person is not going to help me move in a positive manner. So I need to eliminate from my circle. So the biggest thing I just love to see is when you go to Summer Classic from year to year, just to see the growth and maturity of the kids as they go through the program. One of the first years at the banquet, we sat down and it was the kids they were taking pictures of the food, and it was just they were just so excited to be having a banquet style meal. And then you go 3 years later, they sit down at the table and they're commanding the room, right? And they're commanding the conversation. You're not trying to draw conversations out of them. So I just get so much out of seeing the growth and development of them, but then also continue to support, Devon in the mission of the 13th man.
I love it. So I'm gonna give the same question to you, Mr. Lott. What do you and I can already, I'm not even a part of the 13th man, and I'm already getting something from the program. This is amazing. But share a little bit about, what you've done within the group, and, what you want to get out of it as well going forward.
Lisa, thank you. I think what I've gotten out of it is just that these young men that Mr. Kelly has been blessed, and like Dr. Bradford said, that we're a part of, that we're not just touching lives, we're touching generations. I mean, these young men, Lisa, but we grew up in the same area, all those things, but it's a totally different day. So Lisa, I remember one time I was sitting at a table and one of the young men said, Mr. Lott, how did you get out of your area? How did you get out of Riverdale? And I said, I'm sorry. He said, I'm trying to get out of where you got out. Show me, to Dr. Bradford's point, show me the GPS. How did you do it? Because people are coming at me right now, whether it be drugs, sex, different things. He said, it's too much and I don't know how I'm gonna get out. But when I read your bio, I heard we're from the same area. Walk me through how you got out. And it's to what your brother Kevin is saying. We have to let the people know you got to surround yourselves. And I said, one of the reasons I am where I am is because you look at that guy in the blue shirt. I surrounded myself with people who are going, shoo, like this. I surrounded myself, and 33 years later, I'm able to sit at the table because of that man in that blue shirt. Because when I wanted to go one way, he was like, big fella, we're not doing that. We got more stuff to do. He had a dad that was no joke. I have a dad that's no joke. And they pushed us that way. So Lisa, it was a blessing to walk this young man through where he was trying to get out of, and he's doing a great job now too. But I would just say it's so many different stories, Lisa. I mean, like, what do I get out of? All we do is serve. One of the ladies, I don't know technology too well, Lisa, but I saw Miss Smalls. She's from our Charlotte area. We come there, Lisa. I think a lot of organizations, they want to, even though they say about service, they want to get served. They want to get served. The people part of 13th man, there's no Dr. Bradford. Even if he's a doctor, he earned it. But Dr. Bradford comes there, he serves. Kevin's a big CEO, he serves. Mr. Kelly serves like no other. Nobody comes there without knowing you got to roll up your sleeves. You got to stay late. You got to pour into these kids. It's all about 13th man is about service. If you're not about service, you don't need to even sign up. Now, I'm not trying to throw people away, but I'm trying to say this is a serving organization. These men serve, we serve. And I think a lot of people, Lisa, want to get served, but they don't know how to serve. And we teach these young boys how to serve. If you see a woman like Miss Lisa, you open that door. If you're talking to her, you look her in her eyes. And it's so much service and just how to serve. And I think that's what we're missing about that service component. And I think Kevin made a great point. Mr. Kevin made a great point. That man up there in that blue shirt, I get on him all the time because he won't say it and he won't talk about it because his humility is crazy. But every dollar comes from that blue shirt, and it's like he won't make the kids pay for anything. The parents. This is unheard of, Lisa, unheard of. And even like they do their little the golf thing and everything, but he's still doing it all by the grace of God. Number one, by the grace of God. So he's the template of this. And so that's what I get out of it. And also, Lisa, just the bonding, like literally I'm about to cry now because I don't know much about technology. I miss these brothers so much. Like literally, Lisa, like I'm looking at Devon, I'm looking at Dr. Bradford, I'm looking at Kevin. Kevin has that swag, he dresses all the time. He got a little swag, and Dr. Bradford is cool. Your daddy dresses when he comes, Lisa. Your daddy, basically, Lisa, that's Mr. Miyagi. He drops all the knowledge. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Mr. Miyagi, when I met Dr. Bruce Bradford, I was like, who is this man, Devon? He said, I've known him my whole life, and this Dr. Bradford is the template. But when those young boys get to see that, Lisa, your daddy, I mean, he commands the room, like Devon says, right? But when those young boys see Kevin and Devon, Kelly and I looking at Dr. Bradford with our mouths open, then those boys look at us, they're looking at that. So you're going generation to another generation. It's all one big family. So it's so hard. Lisa, I don't know if back at Spelman, you could tell people you had to be there. You were at a certain thing, say you just had to be there. Lisa, we can talk about this for an hour. And don't get wrong, we're doing it no justice because you have to be there because there's so much going on in the world. And right now, let's talk about the world of like the Metro in Charlotte. Those boys have so much going on, but Lisa, what we need now more than anything, and what Devon Kelly has brought to these boys through the grace of God, is that word hope. They come in there and they don't have hope. And Dr. Bradford knows what is hope, but an expectation. You're expecting something. And so when you come in the 13th man, they're expecting something. And when they leave, you should see the parents' face, Lisa. They say, hold on, that's my son? That's not like what happened from Thursday to Sunday. Stand up straight and watch what they say, Lisa, this word, Mom, I'm sorry. I haven't been the man I should be. Mom, I've been, like you said, I didn't get up early. I've been disrespected. I learned from Mr. Kelly, from Kevin, from Dr. Bradford that basically I need to treat you so much better. And you see mothers crying, you see fathers crying. And it's not just for one day. These boys, 3 or 4 years later, they know how to respect people, do different things because they've seen the template, and they have brothers like basically call them out on this stuff. It's like, listen, we do this out of love. You rather us do it than the police do it or society do it. You're in Lisa, almost like the NBA, you're in a bubble, and we're not going to let you out till you know how to play outside this bubble. And so go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you because and why this is so important because so I'm not a part of the program, but I will say what you all are doing and how it can be such a huge impact generations later, and I'll use there for example, me going into high school, and my family was in the school, so I mean I almost didn't have a choice but to be on the swimming team. It was like when you come over here, that's just what your family does, they get on the swim team. So right. I did it, but I mean when I got on the team, he was serious about your report cards, he was serious about your behavior. I mean it was a parent at school. So the rules that applied at home also applied when I went to school, and you couldn't do athletics if you didn't take care of your academics. And the impact that those teachers and Mr. Bradford had on me, and I think the whole entire school has gone over into our adult lives and then into our children's lives. Like I said, I have a son my oldest is 30, but I have a son who's a senior at Eastern Shore, and I want him exposed to Mr. Bradford because of what he poured into me. And I think to have a whole entire school of people to remember you from what you did way back in the day is what you all are creating right now. You have, I'm sure young men who will never forget this experience. And when I heard that Mr. Bradford and Devon, that when you were young, he was in your life, and now it kind of circled back around, and that whole storyline right there is just like so powerful. I'm just in awe of what you all are doing, and I'm kind of speechless. But
Lisa, may I jump in real quick? And again, I think they tend to give me kudos and everything with 13 Man, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that this organization is started by me, so I'm a visionary, and I had the vision, but you can't do it alone. Although I will try a lot to do it all by yourself, but I've got a realm of friends, a realm of staff, and everybody pours in from the heart, right? And again, like Pastor Fred said and everything, until you experience, you really don't really get an appreciation. You obviously can go to the website and look at some of our videos, but the reward that we get is when I said a young man comes back and he says, "Hey, thank you, Mr. Kelly." Right? And that's powerful stuff, right? I still use some of the lines of some of my 8th grade coaches, right? And so they're going to sit there, and now it's become a funny thing. Okay, let's see who can imitate Mr. Kelly now, right? And I told them, me and Pastor Fred and I talked about it. You will be having these conversations that you've had from these tables 30, 35 years, right? And there's not a time that Pastor Fred and I don't get together that we don't talk about those times. And I said, that's powerful stuff, because so many people out here in the world want you to split, right? But there's power in numbers, right? And so the guy who's sitting at your table, around your table, may be the next CEO of Con Ed. That might be the next CEO of Con Ed. You may not work for him. You may actually have a business dealing with him. You have no idea what that will end up by just having a conversation. When you sit at the table, right, and we talk about commanding the room, we talk about first impressions, you don't know who you might see at that table who might later on be a CEO to hire you out of college.
Absolutely.
Right? Who may give you a chance. And these are what we talk about, giving opportunity. And that's all that the 13th Man is trying to do. Give you an opportunity, otherwise you wouldn't do it. Unfortunately, COVID prevented us, but we were taking a group of 20 young men to Paris this fall, in September. We were going to Paris to give them the experience of going international, right? Just to see what others, how they live, right? And that was an experience that most kids don't get. I certainly didn't get it till I was out of college.
I didn't either.
Right. So I thought it was important to do. And it was about the experience. So we had 20 young men excited about going. We're still planning on going next fall. So we're still doing meetings to get them acclimated. But those are the experiences that we need. And so as we go, and I see the chat room, and like Fred, I'm a little limited on how I work that, but on the chat room. So now what you need is you need powerful men. So when I sit here, and the next time you have us on the 13th Man, it's not the 4 of us on here. We need 4 other men on here. And you're going to ask them the same question. What brought you into the 13th Man? And I'm hoping that they say, because I watched you on Lunching with Lisa and learned about the program and wanted to serve. Right, and wanted to serve. And if I get that, right, everything else falls into place. Everything else falls. But money is great, and it funds our programs and everything, but I need people who want to give back, who want to pull another young man to give back. And if you do that, the power in numbers as we move along will be incredible. And that's the legacy that I want to do, and the legacy that I want to live for the 13th Man.
Absolutely. So I actually wanted to ask you all, being involved for so long, I'm not sure how long each of you have been involved, but I wanted to see if you all could share with me what has been your most powerful moment or exchange interaction with one of the students, or one of the young men in the program that you probably will hold on to forever, whether it's funny or just motivational. But share with me one of those exchanges, because I think those are the things that we hold on to. You remember like those moments. So what was one of those moments for you? Devon.
Yeah, so I'll start. It's really 2 quick ones that I'll do. Our first year, we had a young man who's now a senior. He's been in the program from the very beginning, and we speak about commanding the room. And one of the things that I talk about is you have to speak clearly, you have to speak loudly, and everyone needs to hear you. Not yell, but you need to holler. And we probably had the youngest guy in our group, and we wanted him to introduce, I believe he was introducing maybe Dr. Bradford, but maybe not. He was introducing our keynote speaker. And he came up, and his name was Zion, and I said, hey, and he was small at that time. Now he's a senior, but he was, I think, an 8th grade at that time. And I worried that no one was going to be able to hear him. So I said, hey, Zion, here's the microphone. He said, no, Mr. Kelly, I'm not using the microphone. And he commanded the room and did it. And that was powerful stuff for me. That happened in 4 days. We also had another young man who, I think it was last year or I think, he was going to read about what the 13th man meant to him. Mm-hmm. And he was going to speak in front of the whole group. Now we've grown. So you got 100 kids, which means you have at least 200 people in the room. His mom and dad came up to me and said, I'm scared to death that he won't do it. I said, he'll be fine. Trust me. His mom and dad to this day thank me for allowing him to get the confidence to speak in front of 200 people. And those were 2 moments that I'll never forget. Never forget.
That's one, Lisa.
Which one?
It was last year, Devon, I think, when you asked me to be the speaker at the Christmas banquet, right? Yep. And I asked him, and we were talking about interpersonal relationships. And I asked the young man, I said, I don't know how we did it. I got a guy to come up. And I said, I want you to go over and introduce yourself to someone that you've been here with for 3 days that you don't really know. And he did that. When he came back, I gave him $10. And he said, thank you so much. I don't think I've shared this with you all, but after it was over, he came up, he said, do you want me to introduce myself to anybody else?
Now that's a smart young man, right?
That was my wife's money she gave me in case I had an emergency. I needed to
say, give me my prop back. No.
Yeah, that was my prop. I meant to give him a Monopoly $10.
I love it. I love it. So Kevin, what was a moment for you?
It was a moment that happened and last summers at the Classic, and Devon was talking about it. He's always tells the kids be self-aware, right, and how people size you up. Mm-hmm. And he was telling a story, one of the kids that was at the Summer Classic, and he got on the elevator, and some other older people were on the elevator, and because we're at a hotel, right, and the one lady said to the kid, "Hey, are you here for a basketball tournament?" Right? Because he's a young black male, he's a basketball player. And with all the proudness in the world, he said, no, I'm here for a leadership development program. And then to me, that was so powerful. And if I could just add in one last bit, and Devon, he talked about this, but our signature event for fundraising is a golf tournament that we talked about. And as a result of COVID, we were not able to have that golf tournament, this year. So this is not a fundraiser, it's not an ask, but if anybody's out there, listen and watch and say, hey, you move, you're motivated, maybe you want to help, maybe you can't be a mentor because of where you are in geography. I'm sure you have a wide reach. I think the website is 13thman.org. If you move and want to support, we would definitely appreciate it. Devon is not going to ask, right? So money. We don't need money. No, we need money. We need people, but we need money too, right? So it's okay, right? Yeah, we're not begging, right? But we're saying if you're so moved.
Absolutely. I mean, he said he's doing it, but he's saying, but you can help out if you like. I mean,
yeah, we should feel free to help. Yeah, maybe you can't be a mentor, right? Maybe you just can't.
I got it. Kevin, I don't know about that, Kevin. He really might be holding out on, because see, I'm a season ticket holder for the Washington Nationals. Been there for 7 years. He took a group of kids to the ball game one time. And they got in. They got thirsty, and he didn't know that the Dasani 12-ounce bottle of water is $5. He spent $400 on water. In 7 years, I haven't spent that much.
You gonna learn today, right?
I told the man, next time I'm gonna go to Costco before you. They'll get $5 bottle for $2 on the way in.
Yeah, full planning.
That's right. That's right. But it won't happen again, right?
That was his heart.
Absolutely, Fred. What was one of the moments that you've experienced?
Lisa, I'll just give maybe one. I've been with Devon since it started, I guess 6 years ago. So I've been to all the classics, and I think that one of the ones was awesome. This young man, and Devon knows his name. I forgot his name. He sings like Michael Jackson, right? So he was starting out trying to sing, and he just went to a whole nother level. So Lisa, he just went, and the kids hyped him up more. So Lisa, if you can imagine him singing like Michael, and then he just kept going. Then I guess somebody else started rapping. Lisa, 120 boys rushed the stage, picked the little boy up and picked him up, and he was still holding the mic, singing, and everybody was screaming. Yeah, we tore down the Greenbelt Marriott. It was amazing, Lisa. It was amazing. I mean, literally, it was like all the boys are so excited. People, right? Lisa, I can't even describe like that boy being held and going around the room. Everybody's carrying him. It was bananas. But it was so the kids. Hey, Lisa, they could be kids. You know what I mean? They could be 12, 13, whatever. And it was just beautiful. It was, what's the word I would say? Lisa, purity, the innocence and purity. It was just amazing. And I think we were just sitting there like, oh, it was, forget the real, it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
I love it. I love it. What we're going to do real quick, we're using y'all as kind of, this is going to be a test moment because we're going to do a small commercial. I think it's like maybe 20 seconds. So we're going to run a commercial, and then we're going to come back and find out how they can get in touch with the 13th man, how they can get in touch with you all individually, because you all are doing other things that people may be interested in as well. So give us a minute, and then we're going to, and we're going to go to a little small commercial. We're just testing this out. And then we're going to come back and close us out.
Perfect.
Saving My Pockets was founded by Shariva Smith, where she tells you all the latest sales, all the greatest couponing tricks, hacks, and places to go find the half-price items, buy two, get one free, even flash sales. You don't want to miss it. Even the biggest discounts out here on the streets. So make sure you join the Facebook group, Saving My Pockets.
Welcome back. Okay, so this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I'm hoping I can bring you all back to talk more about what you're doing, especially with the trip to Paris and how even though we don't fit the criteria for being a part of it, how we can get in on that trip, because I have never been, but no, that is amazing. And I think that part is really huge, because I think one thing we missed out on as young people is that we didn't have those opportunities to travel internationally. And there's a whole lot of grown people that don't even have passports. And you don't realize how important it is to travel somewhere else until you do it. And then you're like, I've been spending all my time over here when that's over there. So I think you all are doing an amazing job. Each one of you has so much to contribute to this program. The brotherhood and the way you all are giving back is just kind of, to me, just my personal opinion, of a perfect example of the kind of organizations we need to give back and pull back into these young people, because we need to do that. I think we've missed the mark. Like I think Mr. Bradford said before, we missed the mark on some of these things, and it's time to kind of fix it. And this, to me, is one of those areas where we're fixing it. And I don't know that a lot of people know that this is what's going on. You know, you sit in conversations with people, and oftentimes I hear people say, we don't have things like that around here. We don't have organizations like that around here. Now what I'm hearing is, yes, we do. We just need to, put them in front of you so that you know they exist. So I want you all to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. And then I'm going to end with Devon so he can say how we can get in touch with the 13th Man and get involved. Let them know who you're looking for, if you're looking for young people or even people to help you with the other parts of the organization. But let's start with Mr. Bradford. Dr. Bradford, how people can get in touch with you.
I don't have a web page, but you can get me through email at BruBrad. That's BRUBRAD@Verizon.net. First three letters of my first name, first four of my last. BRUBRAD@Verizon.net.
I love it. Okay, so Kevin, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Probably the easiest way is probably via email. And it's my first initial last name, K. Weidman @Koniag.com. Let's go KONIAG.com. K. Weidman @Koniag.com.
And Fred?
Lisa, they can hit me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Let me give you those things. I'm playing because Devon Kelly knows I know nothing about technology. Lisa, I know, and Lisa, I don't even have Facebook. I still use a walkie-talkie. So, Lisa, if they want to get in touch with me, they can just go to Fred Lott Jr. Let me make you laugh. It's Fred Lott Jr. at AOL.com. So I'm still AOL. I'm still AOL. Don't laugh, Lisa. And Lisa, before I go, I just want to thank you for just having us. I mean, Dr. Bradford spoke so highly of us. So, Lisa, just know, I know all of us just so honored to be on here. So thank you.
It was all my pleasure. And you all will be back. So be prepared.
Appreciate it. And finally, like I said, if anyone's interested, whether it be a mentor, whether it be a donor, whether it be someone who just wants to give me advice, check us out at www.the13thman.org. You can find on the website. You can obviously call us at 301-429-8807, or you can send me a direct email at devon@the13thman.org. And as Fred said, Lisa, this has been great. Any kind of exposure we have is fantastic. We appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate my three fellow board members and brothers for joining me on here. And more importantly, I appreciate them on this journey for the young men.
And I want to thank you all for coming on here. This has been a blessing to me. And to everyone who tunes into Luncheon with Lisa, I am honored to have had you all on here. So yeah, I will definitely be in touch to bring you all back. And anytime that you all need to get something out, some information, a trip that you're doing, how you want to reach out, this platform is always available to you. I also want to remind everybody, thanks for tuning in to Luncheon with Lisa. Again, we come on every Thursday, 7 to 8. I will say that every now and then I go live too, because I have my own online magazine. So I might be out reaching out to you all for more exposure there, but I do lives there as well. So I want you all to continue to tune into Luncheon with Lisa. We have some amazing guests that come on here. We have some amazing programs that we're trying to expose to our communities. And I want to let y'all know that I appreciate everything that you all are doing for our young people. This was absolutely amazing, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good night. Everyone stay safe.